Imagine waking up one morning and the sun simply stops shining. The sky turns gray, crops begin to die, temperatures drop across the entire world. People believe the end of the world has arrived. This is not fiction. In the year 536 AD, something happened that historians now call the worst year to be alive in human history. The first clues come from a Byzantine historian named Procopius. He wrote something deeply unsettling. He said, "The sun gave forth its light without brightness, like the moon, during the whole year." In other words, the sun was still there, but it looked dim and weak, as if something was blocking it in the sky. And it wasn't just one location. Records from Europe, the Middle East, and Asia describe the same terrifying phenomenon. The sky stayed dark and dusty for months. Imagine living in a world where the sun looks like a faint lamp, shadows disappear, days feel like permanent twilight. People had no explanation. Many believed it was divine punishment. But the darkness was only the beginning. As the sky dimmed, the climate began to change. Temperatures dropped dramatically across the planet. Modern scientists estimate the Earth cooled by around 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius globally. That might sound small, but for agriculture, it was catastrophic. Summer snow was reported in China. Frost destroyed crops across Europe. Harvests failed almost everywhere. Without food, starvation began to spread. Entire communities faced famine, and the strange climate didn't last a few weeks. It lasted more than a year. For people living in 536 AD, it must have felt like the world itself was dying. For centuries, historians debated what caused this event. Was it a comet? A massive dust storm? Or something even stranger? The answer began to emerge only recently. Scientists studying ice cores in Greenland and Antarctica found microscopic evidence trapped in ancient ice. Inside those layers were tiny volcanic particles. The conclusion? Around the year 536 AD, a massive volcanic eruption blasted enormous amounts of ash and sulfur into the atmosphere. The particles spread across the planet, forming a giant veil that blocked sunlight. But the nightmare didn't end there. Just a few years later, another eruption struck. Then another one around 547 AD. These repeated volcanic disasters kept the climate unstable for over a decade. Historians now call this period the Late Antique Little Ice Age. Food shortages became widespread, societies weakened, trade slowed, kingdoms struggled to survive. But then, an even deadlier catastrophe arrived. In 541 AD, a deadly disease appeared in the Byzantine Empire. It spread rapidly through cities and trade routes. Today we know it as the Justinian Plague. It was one of the earliest major outbreaks of bubonic plague. Some estimates suggest it killed 30 to 50 million people. Entire cities were overwhelmed. Bodies piled up faster than they could be buried. For people living during this time, it must have seemed like the entire world was collapsing. Dark skies, failed harvests, global famine, and a devastating plague, all within a single generation. Today, Historians look back at 536 AD as the beginning of one of the most difficult periods humans ever faced, a mysterious darkened sky, a sudden global cooling, volcanic disasters, and one of the deadliest pandemics in history, all starting in the same decade. So the next time you hear someone say, "Things couldn't get worse," just remember, they could be living in 536 AD. History is full of forgotten disasters like this one, events that changed the world, but most people have never heard about. If you want to discover more dark chapters of history, subscribe, because sometimes the real past is far more terrifying than fiction.